Still cold. Hi there, folks. Welcome to another episode of Michael in the Backyard. I am overdressed today. I've got a t-shirt underneath this lightweight Hawaiian shirt, and the humidity is creeping up on a fella. So we're getting ready for some wintertime activities, and when I say activities, trying to protect some of the property from getting damaged from the cold and the snow and other such things like that. With that being said, I in my excavation exploits here in the backyard, I did have a buried line that went from the back of my shop all the way out to the lean-to out there that gave me enough power to put a battery tender out there or run a block heater, and that's about it. And I dug that up because that was just like barely below the ground all the way out there. Well, I went a long ways below the ground, so that cord is no more, and eventually I'm going to have to trench in a new line, and I'd like to get a little bit, let's just say, heavier service out there. But until that happens, I need to run some drop cords from here to there. And now I'm not running any lightweight drop cord either. I'm running it's a 10 3 drop cord, so it's a, it's got a positive. I don't know what I'm saying. It's 12 gauge wire. So normally it would carry a 20 amp circuit, no problem. But with that being stuck right there, what am I doing? Okay, got it. I'm gonna set you guys over here for a minute. Alrighty, folks, we're back. Sorry, you guys, it might have been an hour for me, but it was seconds for you guys. So what I did is I got a drop cord. That drop cord running from here out there, and most people like to put up Christmas lights with their drop cords and stuff for the holiday season approaching. I like to put up my own kind of Christmas lights, and I'll show you what I mean. Now what I did, since I had to use 2 drop cords to get out here, so I'm 200 feet out roughly, I got the plug up off the ground right here. Let's just say that's going to keep it out of the snow and the nastiness that is my current parking lot condition with the mud and whatnot that can happen. Let's see what I got done out here. So this is absolutely what you do not want to do, but I've got a double-ended male plug I made here that goes from here into there, and that allows me to run my lights, because that energize my, let's call it off-grid, on-grid with a drop cord system. Now, Christmas lights. What am I talking about? Oh, you probably can't see it, so faint, but that's glowing red. It's my battery tender on one circuit, and on the other circuit I got my other battery tender, and she's showing green, so this one's holding good. Nice. Good old Big Mo. So that's about the extent of my Christmas lights. I could pull those batteries out and take them in the house and keep cycling them all winter, or I could just plug them in. The other reason for the drop cord out here too is I can actually plug in my block heater when needed. And if I need to fire up Blue Thunder or Big Mo in the winter time, my anticipation says nope. But if it dries out, like right now, you can see the parking lot's still got a puddle here, and definitely that trailer tongue sitting in water, that will get froze down. That will get froze down. And we got to do some more. While we got a nice day, we got to do some other stuff here. Now, the reason you tuned into this video, winterizing. Well, I'm going to winterize my Starcraft. If you guys have been following my channel for any length of time at all, or the OGs that's been around here from a long time, will see and recognize my 1976 Starcraft fishing boat. And what we have here is my 1976 Starcraft fishing boat, and it has a 99 Johnson kicker on the back that I control with if I want. And I'm gonna show you what you need to do some winterization. And when I say winterization, it's exactly what I mean. First thing we're gonna do, simple, get you some stable, put it in your gas tank. Because you don't know what life is gonna bring you. Whoa. And you don't know when the next time you'll have this boat back in the water. Now, hopefully, February, it gets up to 70 degrees and the lakes thaw out and you go fishing. And this thing's only in a winter slumber for 2-3 months. Or life can bring you lemonades. And for some reason, this sits for a year or two. And if that's the unfortunate case, you're going to have this boat in condition that you can fire it up when the time is right. And we got to shake it up. That's going to preserve your fuel. And I don't run any ethanol fuel in any of my small engines or my boats. And since I also only run non-alcohol fuel, but I also try to make it a point when I can, not all gas stations have it, but premium unleaded fuel. It costs more, but it's better fuel. It will survive in a gas tank a lot longer. But the stable also helps remedy that. Now, this video is about a Mercruiser 120 horse. This winterization process will apply to a 120 horse inline 6 Mercruiser and an inline 4 cylinder 120 horse Mercruiser. Did I say inline 6? Inline 6 165 horse. Pretty straightforward stuff. We're going to go ahead and pull the dipstick. I kind of want to see the condition of the oil. You can see through it. It's pretty good oil. Now, all these older motors are flat tappet engines. What does that mean? It means the push rod, the tappet, and where the connecting rod and all that meet, it's on a crown type situation that hits the cam and the actual, they're hydraulic lifters, but the cam hits and spins those. That's to distribute the wear and the lubrication and all that stuff. So you want to make sure you're using a engine oil that has zinc, or ZDDP, I think it's called, something like that. A lot of your straight 30 weight, I think Shell Rotella has it. I use a lot of that. The new racing formula that Lavalier has out for the older cars has it in it. I see a lot of guys using that. So you want to make sure you got the right oil. In this case, I'm not changing the oil because it's in good shape. So we'll move forward with the rest of the winterizing process. And folks, I'm going to show you that it's so simple. Get you some marine RV and marine antifreeze. I get the -50. You can get -70 if you want to. If you think where you're parking your boat gets to -70 and can freeze hard enough antifreeze and crack your block, then get -70. What kind of tools are you going to need? Sorry, I bumped the camera. What kind of tools are you going to need? Now, I carry tools on my boat because I have old boats. And I've got this little tray that fits in my thing up there. You're going to need a crescent wrench. Pretty easy. We're going to go ahead and remove this spark arrestor. We don't need it for right now. And it's going to serve two purposes. I kind of want to see if the automatic choke is working properly before I put it away. And if it's not, I'll take a mental note and write it down on a board somewhere that says, hey, make sure you pay attention to that carburetor next spring, or pull it off now and rebuild it. Now, you probably can't see this, but the choke is currently sitting wide open, straight up and down. Now, this is a spring. It's an automatic choke. It's called a bimetal spring that as it heats up, it forces that choke to come open. When it's cold, it has spring tension and it'll slap that choke shut. So what I'm going to do right now is put my throttle, give it a full throttle, 1, 2, give it a couple squirts from the accelerator pump, and wrench in the gas, and then I want to start it up. But always start it up with the trim down and the water on. Never ever start it with the trim up, all the way up, because that CV joint puts one heck of an angle on it, and you'll hear it and you'll feel it, and it's not doing it any favors. It's designed to operate with the trim down, and then like some of these have trim limiters on them, and it'll only go up so far. That's the maximum angle you're supposed to do stuff like that at. So, all right, with that all being said, let's go turn my water on. I'm gonna take the throttle, click her forward, and then I'll show you the butterfly shut. I'll be right back. Got to climb in and out of the boat several times for this operation. Now, one thing that's kind of fun is if you have, it's nice to do this with a buddy or a couple of 3 people that have boats, and you all winterize your boats together. Okay, water's on. Trim is all the way down. And as you can see here, that flap here, spring loaded, is shut. That's full on chokerilla. Let's fire it up. Now you can see it starts to open up a little bit. The heat riser that comes off the exhaust manifold here warms this spring up and makes that open up. She fired right up, pretty decent. Let's take a look at the back end. Now some of that staggering we might have heard in the beginning could have been because the hydraulic lifters weren't pumped all the way up right away. I could have a couple of sluggish ones. To my knowledge, this engine has never been into its entire life. When I bought this boat, it had been off the water and winterized and all that stuff for 6 years. Hadn't ran it for 6 years. I bring it home, I check compression, I got cylinders that are down. I'm like, oh no. I was a little worried about it. I put some Marble Mystery Oil down the cylinders, let it soak overnight, fired it up, ran it again before I rebuilt the carburetor. So it wasn't running great. Heat soaked it, went through a couple of heat cycles. Checked the compression. It's like 140, 140, 140, 140. All of them came back around beautifully. And it's been that way ever since. And that's been since 2017. So we're talking 7 years ago when I acquired this. And this is how it's ran ever since. I did rebuild the carburetor one more time because once I did a few other ones, I realized I did it wrong. There's a lot of videos of that out there of me rebuilding these particular carbs, the Rochester 2-jet. All right, next step. Now these are some simple tools. As you can see, the tools I've used so far has been a crescent wrench. The only other tool I'm going to use is a bladed screwdriver. That's my whole winterizing process. Now buy yourself some fogging oil. I don't care what brand you buy. Any oil is better than no oil. What we're going to do here, we're just a touch off of idle. We're going to spray this heavily into the carburetor and let it sit there, and we're going to see smoke coming out the exhaust. We want it to burn a little oil because that way we know the upper cylinders on top of the piston, there's plenty of oil right now splashing around underneath, taking care of the underneath. That's pretty sealed up. What's not sealed up is when one of the valves are open and you've got a spark arrestor here, and it's not in the rain, but it's where the humidity could creep in, and you want that not to rust and cause you problems. This lubricates the top end, so we're going to spray it until smoke's coming out. That's getting lube on the top end. Yes, it can do little things to your plugs, but usually my experience is you fire it back up again in the spring, you run it, the plugs burn off clean, it doesn't foul them. These plugs have been here for 2 seasons, so now, well, that died too easy. We're going to take the RPMs up just a touch higher so we can drink some more of this. see a little smoke. Right now, that top end's just wet with lube. Now I'm going to spray it and kill it. Now the entire top end's lubed. We're going to leave that as is. We're going to put this back on. That buzzer's annoyingly loud, but if you're on the lake and it starts going off, you want to hear it. Well, what's happening right now? That goes there. This here is just taking the vapors from the upper end and sucking it back in and recirculating it, you know. Keeping the fumage down and the combustibles down. So now, that's the engine part of it. Now, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and pull your plugs out, get you some new ones, gap them, stick them in, torque them down, and you got some fresh spark plugs. It has been my experience is whenever I go to fire this up in the spring, I put water on it, give the gas, it usually pops up almost like I just shut it off yesterday, which is pretty cool. Now, we're going to get a little messy. This is where this other stuff starts to come in. On the front here, you've got two hoses. Some of you might be thinking, Michael, but you've done a winterizing video on this boat almost every year since you've had it. Well, that's because a new video gets released and people watch it, and hopefully we save another, by doing this, we save another 120 horse from going to the graveyard. And I mean, this boat's old. 76. Think about it. It's been around for a while. So now we're going to get these hoses off here. And I need to go turn the water off on the back too. Let's do that real quick. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull these hoses off. I cleaned these up a long time ago. Repainted them. It's kept the corrosion at bay pretty well. I have to say I'm pretty happy with what I see. This is where it gets a little messy. But there's this one here is going to flush your block. This one's going to flush your exhaust manifold. Now I put about 1 gallon through here. What that's going to do is push all that water in your intake manifold out to your exhaust. I can hear it coming out the back. I have seen the videos where people fill up a kiddie pool with antifreeze, stick their outdrive in it or a bucket or whatever and pump it up through that way. That's one way to do it. My experience has been, I tried that once. It takes a lot more antifreeze to get her flushed out. This way here, if I just dump this in here, and it's going to come out right here. You can see the pure water coming out. Nothing but water out of the hose that is in the block. You pour it in here and that'll come out bright pink just like what's in the jug eventually, because it's just following the natural flow inside the block. No pink water yet. There's one. Typically 2 gallons in here has been normal and enough. We'll see. Oh yeah, I'm starting to see pink come out now. Maybe. Yeah, she's flowing pink now. She's about the same color as what's coming out of the jug, coming out right now. And that's what we want. And don't worry about it getting in the bottom of your boat. It's okay. Because sometimes you have a little water gets in the bottom of your boat, and some of this being in the bottom of the boat will help that water not freeze. Now I got my drain plug out, obviously, but it'll help that not freeze and not separate some rivets or anything like that on some of these older boats. Now that we've got that accomplished, we'll put our hoses back on, because that's complete. Next steps is draining the block. Sounds like somebody's doing some target practice. I don't know if you guys can hear it through the mic or not. Now my habit for winterizing, there's different companies that do winterizations and stuff, and they'll pull all the plugs out of your boat and put them in a Ziploc bag or something, and they'll zip tie it to your steering wheel to remind you to put your plugs back in. But because if you don't, when you start your engine up, water just goes all over the engine compartment from those drain plugs. This boat has two drain plugs. It has an exhaust manifold plug and a block drain plug, and I'll drain both of them. And now typically you could say, well, you shouldn't have to drain it, you've got the antifreeze in there. Yep, I do. But it's also very nice just to peace of mind. Get all the volume of water and liquid you can out of your boat. It's just what I do. Now we'll move this seat so I can get to those plugs a little easier. You know, there's a giant gas tank in the way. Let's see if I can get your eyes on this so you can see what I'm doing. Now on my block, and it's going to be really hard to see, on my block here, there's a drain petcock here that I just open that up and let it drain. If you don't know which way your petcock goes, usually it's still righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It's just, it works kind of backwards, because it actually screws in. Now you can see right here, probably hard to see, all that pink fluid's coming out right there. And we'll just drain that block. And now there's another one that I take out that's right back here. Oh, I've got it loose enough, I think I can get it out with my fingers. Yep. As you can see, that's draining there now. Now, if it doesn't drain, kind of hard to see a little stream there. There's a lot of grit and garbage that gets in there. Take your screwdriver or a wire. There. Get her flowing like that. There's a lot of, you know, you pick up sand, dirt, and everything else from a lake, and it'll settle in the bottom of there. And we'll drain that whole exhaust manifold. Then we'll replace this plug, and then we'll tighten up the petcock, and we're done. Well, there you have it, folks. We got the plugs back in. We got the petcock on the block turned back out, so it's ready to go. Right now, if I decided to go fishing right now, I could just go. Yeah, I know it runs. I know everything works on it, and I could go. And that's the same way it'll be in the spring. I could just go fishing because I've checked the oil. Everything right now is good to go. Now, the last but not least thing that I do is I take the starter battery and the trolling motor batteries out for the winter, and I store them inside, and I keep the starter battery on a trickle charger, and then the lipos I just kind of let it sit there. They're okay without being fully charged. They'll hold themselves at a certain level, and everything's golden with that, right? Alrighty, well, now it's all that's left is put this back where I got it, but I'm gonna put it in a different stall. I'm gonna pull once I get it back where it belongs, I'll let the trim down and pull the battery out and take that inside with me. And then we'll move on to the next boat. Now, Luckily, I've only had this boat out this year that I need to winterize. The rest of the boats were winterized last winter, and they haven't ran. Now, the good news is I put stable and everything, because there again, like I said, life gets busy and you may not get back to them. So this is some of my boats will be going on 2 years before I start them up again. The good news is I winterized them properly and I know what I did, so I'm not worried about any engine damage, engine damage occurring. That's why I do what I do. All right, folks, I hope you found this informative and helpful. I hope you're having a good day. I mean, it's actually hot right now. I could be sitting on a boat fishing today, but in 1 week's time, the overnight lows are getting down to 2 degrees around here, and that's frigid. And you'd be happy you had this done now, because if you didn't do it now, you'd be trying to do it. Oh, it's getting down to 30. It's getting down to 25. We got to get this done before I crack my block. I don't have to worry about it. I got a lot of peace of mind now. These can sit and wait. I can bring them up one by one, bring them into my shop over the winter, do some work to the interiors or what needs to be done, and then move on. It's pretty excellent. You guys be good to one another. Remember, get yourself an hour a day's worth of activity in, doing something towards your project. You won't regret it. This is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is, and we'll see you on the next video if I'm lucky. Oh, wow. So nice. I'll just sit on here. I should just have a fishing pole hanging over the side of the boat and just take a nap right here. Pretty awesome. Feels good to get something accomplished like this today.